Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Lisa here. I wanted to start off by saying I have been on the internet so much lately. I've been scrolling so much. I think I'm trying to find that one post or comment that just makes me feel like everything's gonna be okay and everything's gonna be all right. I'll probably just scroll forever if that's what I'm looking for, because I doubt I'll find it. But I know that we're all kind of huddled right now and looking for people to tell us it's going to be okay. If that's you too, then I'll just say it's going to be okay. I wanted to talk today about 4B. It's crazy to see it blowing up in the news. You know, when it reaches the New York Times, then it's huge because the New York Times is like the last place to pick up on trends. But we've actually been talking about 4B here for many years in one form or another, whether you call it going your own way or female separatism or whatever. 4B is kind of a light form of separatism. It doesn't have to be part of a political movement. It just can be actions that you take in your own life. But 4B comes from South Korea, which does have the lowest birth rate in the world, although the US is scooting down there as we speak. But it means no dating, no sex with men, no childbirth, and no marriage. Basically being a spinster by choice. Something I've been practicing in my life for quite a few years and talking about and trying to encourage women to at least experiment with. The fact is, again, something I've talked about at length, men are our biggest threat. They truly are. So many women have experienced sexual assault, rape, physical violence, emotional violence at the hands of men. Crazy statistic, if you've never heard this, prepare to have your mind blown. The biggest cause of death in pregnant women is homicide by their partners. Men are dangerous to women, and even when they're not dangerous, relationships can be very draining. That was my personal experience, and how I came to all of this was just through my own lived experience. I found relationships to be extremely draining. I was in relationships and dating pretty much since I was like 15 to when I was 30, into my early 30s. You know, there were brief periods when I was single, and even during those periods, I was very focused on getting a man, and I wasn't focused on myself. When I was in a relationship, I was also super focused on the man's happiness and well-being at the expense of my own. And I was very probably neurotic, but I don't know, maybe this is actually very common. You know, I was very focused on presenting this perfect image of womanhood at all times and being hyper feminine and taking care of my man and all that stuff. And it really was at the expense of my own interests, my own health and well-being. And I put all of that stuff way low on my priority list and prioritized men. And I see 4B as really decentering men and recentering ourselves and focusing on our own self-care. And there's so many ways to do that, and there's so much work to be done in that, and it's so important. And I think for some women who say, wow, I could never imagine not having a relationship, well, what about just temporarily? What about just experimenting with it and seeing how it feels to prioritize yourself? Because I would guess there are a lot of women out there who have maybe never even experienced that. And prioritizing your own well-being and self-care. So I'm a huge advocate of this movement to the extent that it's a movement, right? I think it's something that you can do quietly and just start to practice it in your own life without telling anybody. And for some women, that may be a safer way to go about this, right? Especially women who are in cultural settings where they are coerced or encouraged to get married and have kids and stuff like that. It doesn't have to, you don't have to announce it to anybody. You can just start doing it. But what I wanted to specifically talk about, as this has come out since the election, right, is the idea that women are doing this as a way to punish men or get revenge against men for voting for Trump. If women are really pushing this narrative that 4B is a way to punish men, I think that is absolutely ridiculous, and it's also really missing the point. I think the cringiest and worst thing about the men going their own way movement was that they were wholly focused on women. Their discourse was how women are evil, why women are evil, etc. And when women take these kind of separatist ideas and make it all about men, and I have been in some 4B communities where every post is men are awful, etc. I even said a little earlier in this video that men are a threat to women, and that's just a fact. But once you accept that, and you make this decision to go your own way, then you should just go your own way. You shouldn't do it to punish men. You shouldn't do it to get any kind of reaction out of men. It's not about men. It's about you. And you're doing it for your own benefit. And it really doesn't matter what men think about this or what they say about it. It's about you. So yeah, that's the message that I want to send, is that if you want to go your own way, just go your own way, but don't do it as a way to punish men or get back at them for voting for Trump or something. Because frankly, those men really don't care. And I've also seen this reaction from men is nothing's going to change anyways because you're a ugly, old, sad woman that no one would have sex with anyways. To that I want to say, and I probably mentioned this before, but I really don't believe there is any such thing as a female incel. That doesn't exist. I know some women think that's a real thing too. It's not. I have a theory that if a woman lives in any remotely populated area, that if she decides she wants to have sex, she could be having sex within 2 hours. That's just the reality. Doesn't matter how old you are, what you look like, what size you are. And this is something men don't understand. And so they think that by saying things like, no one wants to date you anyways, that like offends women, and it really doesn't, because it's not true. So those are my thoughts. It's really interesting and cool to see 4B like in the headlines, but you know, as someone who's been doing this for years now, it's not like the first time I've heard of this. Yeah, it hits a little different maybe, and that's about all I got right now, and I'll talk to you guys super soon. Bye.